Hello, Lisa Richard here with Loving Energy Recharge. Welcome to the Inner Alchemy for November the 22nd, leading us through to the 26th. As we're following the turning of the mandala wheel, we are now entering fully into Sagittarius season. So we are entering in through the ninth house of exploration, higher learning, and spirituality. This is also where we're going to meet the archetype of the explorer. So Sagittarius brings us the element of fire, and having just come out of Scorpio season and the intensity of the water, moving down into the foundation of you to expose the roots and to do that deep cleaning within, we're now getting a break in the energy to have some fire to kind of dry off some of that emotional energy. So you may be feeling in yourself a deeper sense of empowerment, an opportunity to perhaps take a little bit of a breather, to dry yourself off, so to speak. And perhaps you're feeling the call now to really investigate some of the energies that you have been going through and will continue to go through as the mandala wheel continues its turning now through Sagittarius season. So one of our very first gate activations that we are experiencing this week is known as the Gateway of Power. This is gate number 34 down in the sacral center. If you're following in your human design charts, the second from the bottom. And as this is highlighted in the collective energy, we're all getting this stimulation. So what does it mean to step into the Gateway of Power? Well, this is the power to empower the individual, meaning yourself. But we have an idea of what power is. We are taught about money, about authority, about having a title, all of these different things from society. But when we look at it from a mystical viewpoint, an energetic viewpoint, and we look at how we are here to empower ourselves, to grow, to evolve, to mature, and how when we offer that support network to one another, we can all benefit from that rise. So how do we step into the gateway of power? How do we maximize that for ourselves during this time frame? Well, when I sat with the divine in my meditation, I had a very clear statement come through. And it was, stop doing for others what they can do for themselves. And it sounds so very simple, but when you sit in your own contemplation of, where does that show up within your own life? Where do you put your time, your attention, your desires, your expectation? Where do you place that in your own life where you're trying to do things for other people that they know how to do themselves? And we often so unconsciously do this. It could be as easy as, picking up somebody's clothes that they left on the floor and putting it in the hamper. Right. And you might think, that's such an easy thing to do. And isn't that just an act of kindness? Isn't it just easier to jump in and do those things, to not have the battles, not to pick the fights? And none of this is about picking fights. It's all about becoming aware of where your time, your attention, and your energy goes. And when we step in to do tiny little things throughout the day, such as picking up somebody's laundry off the floor, putting their dishes into the sink, reminding them of their own appointments, every time we do that, we are unconsciously saying to the other person that we don't believe they're capable of doing things for themselves. We are disempowering them by not giving them the opportunity to find their own rhythm, their own routine, their own style. And we are disempowering the self by now doing things where your body's probably saying, oh, why do I have to do this again? Why can't they be more responsible? Why do I always have to jump in? Right? So even though we think sometimes that we're doing things from a good place, the energy within the body is letting you know the truth of how it is truly feeling. So that is the statement for reflection during this time, is really looking at where do you do things that others can do for themselves. And if you were to see that in terms of energy, so every time you're worrying about somebody else, you're leaking energy. Every time you are jumping in to do something for someone else, you're leaking energy. So just imagine if you were to catch all of those moments, those unconscious, now made conscious, coming up into your awareness, to catch yourself before jumping in, before trying to advise, problem solve, come to the rescue, right? All of those habitual things, starting to put the brakes on now and saying, why? Why do I feel the need to habitually jump in, to respond, to move into action? And if you were to really look at things in terms of energy and whether this is empowering the other person and empowering yourself, are you moving in accordance to love? Or are you moving in accordance to fear, to a program, to a self-sabotage, keeping yourself stuck in those stories? So we want to use the fire sign of Sagittarius to really be the explorer in this energy, to trace where you are giving away your power, where you're actually disempowering other people, where you are disempowering yourself, and then really looking at the gift here, which is all about strength. It takes incredible strength to not jump in. It takes incredible strength to go past your child's messy room and not feel the need to clean it up for them. It takes incredible strength to not say something when someone in your household forgets to pick up their dirty dishes. It takes incredible strength to allow others to do what is in their highest good and start reflecting on the gratitude of the things that they are doing well. And that includes ourselves. It is so easy to focus on the negative, the frustrations. And when we're really honest with ourselves, we become frustrated because we're exhausted. Why are we exhausted? Because we're giving away our power. You're giving away your energy. What if you spent this week really doing the things that fed your love, that filled up your cup, that empowered yourself? How much more time would you have if you weren't trying to do things for everybody else that they are very capable of doing for themselves? And whether that is with a child, a relationship, in the workplace, wherever that is for you, there is a beautiful opportunity to start pulling that back in order to start filling up your energy, to get more clarity on your habitual patterns, to break free of the chains that keep you in those stories of I'm the savior, I'm the rescuer, I'm the nice person, I'm the mother, right? All of those labels that then keeps us in these tiny little boxes instead of allowing yourself to expand, allowing yourself to be empowered in the moment of knowing how you're applying yourself, if you're applying yourself for the highest good, and using that as an opportunity to lift up the vibrational energy. That is the gift of strength. True strength comes from the divine. True strength comes when we take it off of our shoulders and we say, you know, I don't know what's best for somebody else's life. I don't know the best direction for them. I don't know how to fix the world's problems, but you do. You meaning the universe. The universe is always in perfect harmony, perfect balance. Why doesn't it feel that way? Because we are out of harmony with the natural flow. We are out of step with the flow of life, of participating in life. We have this mindset of life is moving against the self. When we learn to pick up the head, when we learn to lift up our chin, to walk with more self-confidence, more humbleness, more grace, more awareness of how we are so connected to our environment, to our relationships, to the health and well-being of the collective, then we are stepping more fully into empowering ourselves, empowering the other, and releasing those things that are always having a tendency to keep the head down. One of the things that are so important in this energy is to look at forgiveness and the power of forgiveness in releasing the expectations that you have placed upon yourself, that it's your responsibility to fix or save another. And also the forgiveness that you can offer yourself of making so-called mistakes in your human journey. When we learn to see things, to see life as our greatest teacher, our opportunity to learn, to grow, to evolve, we start looking at our journeys and all of the opportunities where we have been able to experience life and we've learned from certain situations and outcomes. And instead of beating ourselves up over having made a certain choice or a certain decision, or holding someone else's feet to the fire for making their choice and their decision, it's looking at, how far in the past is that? And how much energy is it costing you by keeping that alive? By keeping that now as a condition for your future joy, your future happiness, your future moments. And every time we forget or we refuse to forgive ourselves or to forgive somebody else, we're closing down our heart. We're closing down our safety, our sense of navigating in the world around us. We lose our true direction. We rob ourselves of opportunities for allowing enjoyment into our life, allowing the deeper relationships into our life. So this is some beautiful energy through this gate of power to start asking the angels, calling Archangel Michael, to start cutting the cords, to start offering that forgiveness to yourself, to others, to start allowing yourself now to come into you, to bring your power inwards. It's not about reclaiming your power because your power's always been there. We turn it down, and in some cases, we almost turn it off. You have to rekindle your own flame, your divinity. That comes by allowing yourself to participate in life, not to control life, not to direct life, not to have the expectations of a certain outcome, but to trust in the divine plan, to trust that you are part of this evolving story. And as such, you have an active role to play. But the only thing that is yours to play is how you show up, your part in the totality of life. So you have the free will choice to choose. Are you empowering yourself and others in this situation? Are you disempowering yourself and others in this situation? One of the other things that I received was the value of saying no. And not being afraid to deal with the emotions that come when you say no. So when you're really looking at the contemplation this week of noticing where do you do things for others that they can do themselves, look at your fear story around saying no. Are you afraid of confrontation? Are you afraid of feeling someone else's emotions? Are you afraid of the change that brings to certain relationships? And be really honest with yourself. We can't grow and evolve and change and get out of our self-sabotaging moments unless we address the intensity of the fear within the body, the story in the mind, and lay it out on paper. This is where journaling becomes very effective and a tool for your own self-actualization. And then when you have the awareness of, how hard it is to say no, to speak your truth, to do those things where your body is just saying, I'm tired of this, I'm done with this. When you're honest with yourself and you look at what kind of hold your emotional energy, your fear stories, that suppression has on your body, that is when you really start to see how much of your power is being squished and contained by the narrative of your story. And when you can finally see the hold of fear, the belief system that you're holding within yourself, how that disempowers who you truly are, then you can start to do the little baby steps to start to expand that light out. And we do that by getting really clear on how your body says, no, that's not correct for me. And you start giving yourself permission to honor that as much as you can. You can't expect yourself to fully change overnight. You've had a lifetime of cultivating a behavioral pattern that keeps you so-called safe. But safe is another word, an alias, so to speak, of suppression, right? I want to put the two of those together. Safe means suppressed. It means you're stuck in a comfort zone. You're here to live. You're here to empower yourself to be alive in the world, no matter what. Not to hold on to a story that you can't go to a certain shopping mall because the energy there is too bad, that you feel too greatly. You are here to empower yourself to cultivate your inner harmony, your inner peace, your faith within yourself to make the correct decisions that are for you, to know beyond know that no matter what, you can trust in the divine to guide your way. And it's only when we invest so much energy into fear, we buy into the program that is fed to us in the collective energy, in marketing and society and governments and religion and all these things that keep our light contained, that keep the power contained. Why? Because the everyday people are strong enough to overpower suppression. You have all the power within you to do what is correct for you. You have all the power within you to make the necessary changes that are for the highest good. When we see our power, when we allow for our power, when you start to believe in yourself, you're calling the higher energies of grace, understanding, clarity, strength, majesty in this case, to be the guiding force in your life. So as we're stepping into this gateway of power, there's an opportunity here to observe how the power of love can be your breakthrough moment as you embrace the archetype of the explorer, as we journey through the ninth gate of higher learning, spirituality, and really getting to know yourself. This is where you can turn on the light. We are out of the water element. We are back in the fire. There is a light that has exposed the truth. And now the journey back into you begins. Next week, we step into what is known through the teachings of the Gene Keys as the Ring of Light. It is a combination of 4 gates within Sagittarius season. to move into the ring of light, to expand yourself. In other words, to move up in your own consciousness, to start another journey. That is requiring you to call back your power, to be strong enough to not get involved with things that others can do for themselves, but instead hold the light. Let them know you believe in them, that you are holding space for them, that they have the ability to figure this out, to problem solve, to move through whatever they are going through in their life. We do not know what each other's souls came here to experience and learn and grow. And every time we jump in to so-called save or fix somebody, we're interfering with their opportunity to empower themselves. So this is where we get a chance to come back into your own lane, to invest in yourself. Use your reflections that you're seeing in other people of, what you would do, how you would behave, what your desired outcome for their life is, and bring that back into you. Where in your life is that showing up? If you can see it in another, it also exists within you. So we have some beautiful opportunities this week for some deep, deep self-reflection, some empowering of the self, empowering of each other. And as a final reminder, the main sentence this week is stop doing for others what you can do for yourself. I'm sending you all so much love. Namaste. The light in me sees the light in you. And I look forward to continuing our journey through the mandala wheel, through Sagittarius season. If you would like some more information about Sagittarius season, you want to dive deeper into your human design and into the gene keys, check out our self-guided course, Enrolling in the Teachings of Sagittarius Season, available through the More Than Existing Academy of Higher Consciousness. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.